Aloha everybody, it's Brad. I've been thinking a lot, lots of time to think these days with the lockdown and everything, but I've been thinking about what my role is usually as a teacher, and what it often comes down to is that I am the brakes on the carriage. What I mean by that is so often people are biting off more than they can chew when they're learning. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's great to challenge yourself as you're playing. But 9 times out of 10, when somebody approaches me with a question or a request, or hey, well, can you help me with this? The first thing I end up telling them to do revolves around, whoa, 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 whoa. Take a chill pill and hang on a second. And revisit the fundamental skills that are causing you to have trouble in playing or practicing this one specific thing. And, maybe this video will help some people in giving them a heads up and allowing them to realize this in their own playing and in their own practice. So kind of what brought this to my attention is I've had an email correspondence for a while with a nice guy from Oahu, and he started sending me some stuff that he was working on, and he was excited because he was working through one of my tabs, and he was just out of his league. I don't think he'll mind me saying that. He was just out of his league at the time. And my advice to him was, you obviously have an ear for this and you want to be able to play it, so you will be able to play it. You just need to slow down and work on some basic skills. And so I sent him away with a couple recommendations, and one of them was practice with the metronome and just become more comfortable playing the instrument. And it's really struck me how much he's followed my advice to a T. He's been sending me updates of his practice, and I've been really impressed because I've kind of gotten to experience the learning along the way with him in seeing these updates and hearing how he's improved. And it's been profound. It's been really fun to watch because it's been very profound, and I've been really impressed at what he's been able to accomplish with steady practice and taking 3 steps back from where he wanted to be, right? He wanted to start out by playing Olinda Road by Hoppa, which I have a tab for on my website. And it's a fairly advanced song. And, instead of being able to play it, he was just rushing right into it. And, the first thing that happens when you're playing something that's too difficult for you is your timing suffers, because you don't physically have the technique to make the notes happen. And so even if you know where it's supposed to be, your body can't make the music come out at the speed and in the rhythms that it's supposed to. And so he's stepped way back, and he's been practicing simple stuff. Like he'll play 2 notes, da 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 da, with a metronome click. And he's learned how to play those 2 notes with a metronome click, with quarter notes, with eighth notes, and he's even graduated up to triplets and sixteenths and being able to switch between all of those. And as he's been working on these fundamental skills, he's been revisiting the song. And every time he revisits the song, he has so much more context for what he's playing, and he's able to play it with a click or with a more patient timing, because he's realized that he's not able to play it at performance tempo yet, and he shouldn't even try to, because that's just too much. And every time he sends me something, he's a little bit better. Every email I get is a little bit better, and it's so encouraging and fun to see that with some dedicated practice and just by stepping back and really working on these basics, somebody has improved so much. And so I'd like to encourage anybody who's watching, if you're struggling with something, really objectively take a step back and look at what you're doing, and honestly ask yourself the question, am I ready to play this? Usually there are steps that you can add in between where you want to be and where you are now that will improve your ability to play what you want to play, and even play it better than you think you will be able to. So that's, the main thing with being able to improve in music is being humble. If you can be humble, you will have no problems becoming a better musician and learning to play the ukulele better, just because you'll be able to honestly assess where you're at and what you're doing. But that's the first step, is being humble. And if you are playing out of your league, how do you ratchet it back, and how do you practice more basic things? And usually it starts with playing it slower, or learning to play the notes better, which comes down to basic technique and being able to move your body in the way it needs to move to create those notes. Something else that I hear a lot that also is, it makes me scratch my head, is when people ask for the tabs to a song, to any song, really, to any song. If you have to ask for the tabs to a song, I think you should really, okay, let me back up a sec. It's really great to want to play music that you love. That is fantastic. I totally get it. I spent lots of time learning songs that I love just because I like the songs. It's like, I want to be able to play that song, so I figured out how to play the song. Sometimes with tabs, sometimes not. But if you jump into it and you go, I love Gently Weeps, and the way Jake plays Gently Weeps in Central Park, that's just the bee's knees, my favorite thing. If you've only been playing for 2 weeks, trying to play Gently Weeps is not in your best interest at all. Even though you love the song, if you ask for tabs or are trying to find out how you can play that, there's just so many steps between where you're at now and where you need to be that you have to check off the list before you could even remotely attempt to play the song with any kind of competence. So a lot of times you can think of a tab or a chord or the need to ask for that as being kind of a self-regulator. It's like, if I can't figure out how to play this on my own by listening to the recording, should I really be trying to learn it right now? Because a lot of times the answer is no, you should not be trying to learn it right now, because if you can't sit and figure it out by ear, which I want to do another video on how to play by ear and kind of dive into that a little bit, just kind of abstractly. I think it would be interesting. But if you can't figure out what you want to play just from what you can surmise or find out from guitar tabs or guitar chord sheets that you might be able to find, it's probably, you'd be better off spending your time practicing something else or learning a song that is maybe more in your league or has a sheet for it, something along those lines. That's just my initial thoughts on that. Of course, that's not always true, because you might be wanting to play a really simple song, and that's fine. That's great too. And in that case, it might be appropriate to be a beginner and to be asking for the chart for a certain song, because it's simple enough for you to perhaps play. But if you're jumping in and you want to be able to play Bohemian Rhapsody solo arrangement instrumental style, and it's you've only been playing for 2 months, take a chill pill, buddy. Take a chill pill. Right? So that's just my 2 cents on the situation. I know not everybody's going to agree with me, but from my standpoint as a teacher, I've just come to realize that a lot of what I spend my time doing is encouraging people to step back and to really observe what they're doing and to play the basics. I'll close with a story of a much younger Brad. I was at a workshop many years ago. I was probably 15 or 16. And, I'd been practicing my brains out, and every year I'd be going to this workshop, and my heroes were at this workshop, and I really wanted to impress them and be able to say, oh, look how far I've come this year. I really practiced a lot, and I've been working on all these things. And I had been working on all these things and pushing and trying to find new techniques and new this and new ways to figure certain things out, and learning songs and doing all the stuff, really. And it was great. I was improving a lot. But I remember pestering Herbota Jr., for the millionth time. Hey, show me something new, show me something cool, show me something faster, better, etc. And he finally sat me down and he said, Brad, you have the tools, you just need to practice the basics. And I was like, oh my God, I get it now. I get it. You just have to play music with what you already have. And so for me, that was a big realization moment, in that I had a lot of the music, I just needed to make it better. And I think that's true for a lot of us, is that we have more music in us than we might ever expect. But that we get caught up in trying to do the next thing or go on to the better thing, or we're always bored, right? We're always looking to do something new. That's kind of a human thing. And that's not always the best for learning music. There's so much to be said for being grateful and happy with what you have and practicing that until it's really good, and then using those contexts to inform your other musical pursuits, right? So it's quality over quantity is almost always better when you're practicing in music. So if you're not sure what to do as far as ratcheting things back, a metronome is always great. You can't spend, I think Jake said, you can't spend too much time just picking quarter notes. Simple stuff. Even if you think it's boring and it's too simple, you're never really wasting your efforts at practicing if you're being mindful in what you're doing. If you're really taking the time to pay attention to exactly how you're doing something, even if you're just sitting and playing whole notes, fretting a note and playing a whole note, bum, bum. There's so much to be learned just from doing that simple motion. And people might say, oh, it's not advanced, or that's too easy. But anybody who plays music, the greatest ukulele player or musician included, they can always make that better. And I think that's what we forget, is that those little things can always be better. And by running towards something that's bigger and better and shinier is not always the most productive way to be. So anyways, thanks for listening. I'm Brad. Check out the website, liveukulele.com, and subscribe. That's what all the YouTube guys say, so I'll say it too. Shoots.